You're listening to the Franchise Freedom Podcast with Giuseppe Grammatico.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide. And today we have a very exciting episode. And I put this episode together based off of a lot of the common questions I get on a daily basis from people I talk to. So as I mentioned, the show was created for people aspiring corporate execs, aspiring entrepreneurs, people looking to make that switch from employee to employer. So what I like to do in the show is answer a lot of the common questions that I get on a daily basis. So the title for today's show is going to be the top 3 reasons franchisees fail. And I specified franchisees, and that is the actual person buying the franchise versus the franchisor, who is the corporation, the person that created the franchise. So that may be a different topic. So top 3 reasons franchisees fail. And the big one is, what is the value proposition of a franchise? And that value proposition is the support. It's the system. And one of the top reasons I noticed from talking to colleagues and other franchise owners for a potential franchisee not to do well, to possibly fail in the system, is that they're not following the system. And really, that is when that's what you're buying. When you purchase a franchise, it's the system itself. It's the way through trial and error from the franchisor, the best way about going through business, the CRM, the vendor relationships and things like that. And that's something that's crucial with any franchise, and to ensure the success of the franchise is really to follow that system. So I hear this a lot, and I'm not sure why. As I advise anyone that's looking at a franchise, if your intention is not to follow that system, franchise may not be the best fit for you. So I think we covered that extent. The second thing is money, being undercapitalized, and this doesn't just go for a franchise. This goes for any business. There are expenses involved, and with a franchise, one of the larger fees is the franchise fee itself. And possibly with a startup, non-franchise, you don't have that fee, but you also have to factor in the amount of time and effort, trial and error that you have to put in to get that business launched. So sticking with the topic of franchises, being undercapitalized. So with anyone looking to explore a franchise, you want to make sure that obviously you look at what the low end and high end in the franchise disclosure document, the item 7, you want to look at the investment on the low end and on the high end. Maybe take an average or take a low, average and high end, and make sure you have the funds available to invest in that business, making sure the franchise fee is covered, any other costs, which will be itemized in that item 7 for you, which will go into technology, training, travel, just having additional funds in the bank. What is your debt cost? What are you paying to the bank every day, if you're every month, and your note payments, and just making sure there's enough there. But you also have to factor in living expense. So if you have left your job and there's no more income coming in to start that business, you need to make sure you have 3 to 6 months living expense to cover daily expenses like auto insurance, food, the mortgage or rent, what have you, student loan debt, and things like that. So I always encourage people to speak with a company. We've worked closely with a company by the name of FranFund, and they'll be able to really do a full analysis, a full consultation as to, okay, what is your current situation? What are your funding options? And in the event you may not have enough funds there or to be accepted or approved for a specific loan, what's the action plan to get you approved? So that's number 2, undercapitalized, making sure that there's enough funds, not just focusing again on the franchise fee, but making sure that you're taking everything into consideration, going into a physical location as well, build outs, permits, inspections, how long, there's an inspection gets failed. You fail an inspection, and obviously that's going to cost some time there. So definitely take that in consideration. And last thing, and these are the top 3, and this list can go on and on, is purchasing the wrong franchise. And I think this is a big one. So we covered not following the system, being undercapitalized, and purchasing the wrong franchise. And what I mean by that is just diving in and or looking at a magazine at what the hot franchise is and purchasing the top one, not knowing what really goes on in the day-to-day, if that's a good fit for you. Or I see things as a friend of mine or a family member has done well with a particular franchise, so they dive in since that family member or friend has done well and purchase the same franchise. So I always kind of take a step back and say, you have the choice of 4,000 franchises. You have a choice to really figure out what the ideal franchise is and really spending the time to say, okay, what is my skill set? What do I excel at? And what is my ideal role as a franchisee? And that's crucial because this is what you're doing day in, day out. And, there's going to be a lot more involvement like in any business in the very beginning, but what are you doing on a daily basis? Is it a lot of sales, B2B sales, or is it just networking, possibly going to Chamber of Commerce events and letting the community know exactly what you do? So lots of options there. And I really encourage people to focus on finding the right franchise that best fits them. And so, for example, there are franchises that really handle a lot of the sales for you and turnkey marketing. So really, they're looking for a person that has a really good management skill set. And when you break it down, regardless of the industry and what business they're in, if that's not your forte, if that's something you're comfortable with, that may not be the right franchise for you, especially that key of a role. But keeping in mind, with other roles, you're going to need salespeople. You can always hire people. I always say this, something I learned over the years is you want to hire employees that are better than you in sales or in marketing or whatever the role is. But ultimately, as the owner, when you look past the first year, when you have that 2, 3, 5, 10-year plan, figuring out what your ideal role is, what you would enjoy doing. And if you really lay it all out, what the ideal business looks like, where you are located, do you have a few number of employees? Are there a lot of employees? Are they W-2 employees? Are they 1099 contractors? Location, are you working from home? Are you working at a brick and mortar location where you're going to a physical spot every day? Once you really figure out what the ideal situation is, that's when you have that intel. You can go back and take a look at franchises, and we could absolutely help you out. I always tell people franchising really gives you that unfair advantage. But for those people that really, where it's a great match, they're looking for that support structure. They're not looking to build the business from scratch per se. A lot of, as a franchisee, systems are in place, vendor relations are there. You may have turnkey marketing, you may have a call center, and you can really get up and running in a service-based business that doesn't require a physical location in as little as 1, 2, or even 3 months. So real quick turnaround. So to reiterate, just from the common questions I get on a daily basis, top 3 reasons franchisees fail from my experiences and talking with franchise owners and colleagues and people in the business. Number 1, not following the system. Number 2, being undercapitalized. And number 3, which is the one that I hear probably the most often, is purchasing the wrong franchise, maybe just purchasing for the wrong reason. So the purpose of the show today is really not to make these mistakes that other people have made. And if you really just take the step back and making sure you're capitalized, making sure that you're following that system and choosing the franchise that's best for you, I think that's going to increase your odds of success. So hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions or if I can help in any way, you can go right to the website, ggthefranchiseguide.com. You could book a call with me /calendar, or just click on the book a call button right on the top of the page, and would love to help. It's a 20-minute call. If you have any interest or any questions on franchise ownership, want to learn a little bit more, book that call with me. Definitely worth the time. I guarantee you'll walk away with something. And remember to ask me about my book, Franchise Freedom, which will walk you through the entire process. Take care. Looking forward to the next episode. And again, thanks for your questions. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Whenever you're ready, here are 3 ways Giuseppe can help. 1. If you've ever considered owning a business of any kind, you owe it to yourself to get a copy of Giuseppe's book, Franchise Freedom. Download your free copy at ggthefranchiseguide.com/book. 2. Want to understand how successful executives make the transition from corporate to owning their own franchise? Join Giuseppe's next online presentation, Franchise Freedom: How to Escape the Corporate World and Have Financial and Time Freedom by Owning a Franchise, by going to ggthefranchiseguide.com/video. 3. Want to work with Giuseppe one-on-one to identify the right franchise opportunity for you, to navigate the process, and get plugged into experienced franchising advisors? Send him an email to gg@ggthefranchiseguide.com with one-on-one in the subject, and he'll send you all the details.